I believed her when she said forever. I'm sitting here in a small house outside Wichita, Kansas. It's quiet. Too quiet some days. My name's Harold. I'm 68, retired Army medic, 30 years in uniform. Seen things most people only read about. Thought I could read people too. Then I got an email, and everything I thought I knew unraveled. It came from a tourist named Ben. Subject line, "Sorry if this is out of line, but I think you should know." I opened it, thinking maybe it was spam. But there she was in a selfie with him, tucked under his arm, smiling in a way I hadn't seen since I left Thailand. Chenika, 19 years old. Said forever like it meant something. Said she'd wait. Said she didn't care about my past or my age, just wanted to build a life together. We kissed under a temple tree, and I swear for the first time in decades I felt alive again. Not just a live scene. So when I saw that photo, my stomach dropped. It wasn't anger that hit me first, it was grief. Quiet, familiar grief. Like losing a friend in the field. The kind you don't cry about, the kind that hollows you out from the inside. If you've ever had someone look you in the eye and promise you the world, only to walk away with your heart in their hands, you're not alone. Please hit the like button, drop a comment, and let me know where in the world you're watching from. And if you're someone who keeps showing up for these stories, super, thank you. You have no idea how much that means to me. What happened next broke me in more ways than one, but it also forced me to face myself. Let me take you back to where it all started. I walked into that little hotel in Chiang Mai, carrying nothing but a duffel bag and 30 years of loneliness. The lobby smelled like jasmine and old wood. Behind the front desk stood this girl, maybe 19, with hair that caught the light like black silk. She looked up when I approached, and her smile hit me like a punch to the chest. "Welcome, sir. You are staying with us?" Her English was broken, sweet, careful. I nodded, handed over my passport. She studied it with serious eyes, then looked back at me. Harold. Strong name, like handsome soldier. I felt my face go warm. Hadn't been called handsome in 20 years. "Just Harold now," I said. She shook her head. "No, always soldier. I see it in your eyes." Her name was Chenika. She wrote it on a sticky note and pressed it into my palm along with my room key. "You need anything, you ask Chenika, okay?" I found myself nodding like a kid. The next morning I didn't need anything, but I went down to the lobby anyway. She was there, arranging flowers in a vase, humming something soft. When she saw me, her whole face lit up. "Harold, you sleep good?" I did, better than I had in months. "Very good," I said. "The room is perfect." She clapped her hands together. "I picked special room for you, quiet corner, good for soldier who need rest." How did she know? We talked for 10 minutes, maybe 15. About nothing. About everything. She asked about America, about my family. I told her I had none left. Parents gone. No wife. No kids. She tilted her head like a curious bird. "That make you sad?" I shrugged. "That makes me free." She laughed, and it sounded like wind chimes. Free is good, but lonely is not good. That afternoon, I found an excuse to visit the lobby again, and the next day, and the day after that. Each time she'd look up with that same sunshine smile. "Harold, my favorite guest." She started saving me the best fruit from the complimentary bowl. Started remembering how I liked my coffee. Started asking about my day like she actually cared about the answer. By the end of the week, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't just staying at this hotel anymore. I was staying for her. "You bring me good luck," she said on my 8th day, pressing a small mango into my hand. "Since you come, everything better. More guests. Happy guests." Manager very pleased. I bit into the mango, sweet juice running down my chin. She giggled and handed me a napkin. "You messy eater like little boy." Nobody had taken care of me like that in decades. That evening, she appeared beside my table in the hotel restaurant. I finish work now. You want to see something special? She led me through narrow streets to a small temple tucked behind a row of shops. The air was thick with incense and prayer. This my favorite place, she whispered, slipping off her shoes. Very peaceful. Good for thinking. We sat under an ancient Bodhi tree, its branches heavy with prayer flags. She pointed to the golden Buddha statue. I pray here for my family, for happiness, for, she paused, looked at me sideways, for special people who come into my life. My chest tightened. Chenika. You are a special person, Harold. I feel it here. She pressed her hand to her heart. When I see you first time, I think this man has kind soul. This man has been hurt but still has love to give. She was right. God help me, she was right. Under that tree, with the temple bells chiming softly in the distance, she leaned over and kissed my cheek. Just a soft brush of her lips, but it sent electricity through every nerve in my body. Forever okay, she whispered against my ear. What? My voice came out strangled. You and me. Friends forever. You promise? I looked into her eyes, those dark pools that seemed to hold all the warmth in the world. Forever, I heard myself say. She smiled and took my hand. Her fingers were small, soft, trusting. Good. Now you are my lucky charm forever. That night, I extended my stay another 2 weeks. The next morning, she greeted me with a different kind of smile, shy, almost bashful. Harold, you make me very happy yesterday. You make me happy too, I said. And I meant it. I felt alive again, useful, wanted. Tonight, you want to have dinner? Not hotel restaurant, special place I know. I would have followed her anywhere. The voice in my head kept screaming it. She's 19, you're 68. But when she took my hand and led me to a tiny street-side restaurant where the owners knew her name, when she ordered for both of us in rapid Thai and then translated everything with excited gestures, when she laughed at my clumsy attempts to use chopsticks, I told that voice to shut up. In my culture, she said, picking up a piece of fish with perfect precision, age is just number. What matter is connection, understanding. She tapped her temple, mind to mind, then her heart, soul to soul. I was drowning in her words, in her presence. Your family, they wouldn't approve? She shrugged. My mama, she want me to be happy. She say, find good man who treat you like princess. Not matter what he look like or how old. That night, she invited me to her small apartment above a noodle shop. It was tiny, neat, filled with photographs of her family. This my mama, she said, showing me a picture of a tired-looking woman in a hospital bed. She very sick. I work hard to pay for medicine. Something twisted in my chest. This beautiful girl, carrying such a burden. How much do you need? The words came out before I could stop them. She shook her head quickly. No, Harold. I not tell you to ask for money. I just explain why I work so much. But I could see the relief in her eyes when I transferred $2,000 to her account that night. For your mother, I said. Let me help, she cried then. Actually cried. Wrapped her arms around my neck and held me tight. You are angel, she whispered, sent from heaven to save my family. When she kissed me this time, it wasn't on the cheek. It was soft, tentative, then deeper. I felt like I was 17 again instead of 68. Is this okay? I asked. Is this what you want? She pulled back, cupped my face in her small hands. I want to be with you, Harold. Forever, remember? We made love that night. Gentle, careful, full of whispered promises. Afterward, she lay with her head on my chest, tracing circles on my skin. When we go to America together, she asked sleepily. When what? You take me to America. Show me your home. We can be together always. My heart hammered against my ribs. Chenika, I know is big step, but I love you, Harold. Real love. Not just grateful love, real love. I stared at the ceiling, her words echoing in my head. Love. When was the last time someone had said they loved me? Within a week, I'd moved into a small apartment 10 minutes from her hotel. So I can see you every day, I told her. She squealed with delight, jumping into my arms like a child. She's playing you, mate. The Australian at the bar was drunk, but his eyes were clear. I've been coming here for 5 years, seen it 100 times. I wanted to punch him. You don't know her. Thai girl, young, beautiful, falls for the old farang with the deep pockets. Come on. He took a long pull from his beer. What's her story? Sick mother, needs money for school, family in debt. My blood went cold. Her mother is sick. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. They're all got sick mothers, mate. It's page 1 of the playbook. I left without finishing my drink, but his words followed me home. That weekend, Chenika disappeared. I go visit family in Bangkok, she'd said on Friday. Back on Monday, promise. But Monday came and went. Tuesday, too. When I called her phone, it went straight to voicemail. I paced my apartment like a caged animal. On Wednesday, I drove to her hotel. The manager looked uncomfortable when I asked about her. Chenika, take few days off. Personal business. Thursday evening she returned. Tired, distracted, jumpy. Everything okay? I asked. Yes, all fine. Mama better now. Doctor say she need more treatment, but she getting better. She kissed me quickly, but it felt different, mechanical. That night at dinner, she told me a story about her childhood that didn't match what she'd told me the week before. When I pointed it out gently, she laughed it off. I so tired. I mix up stories. Sorry, my English not so good when I tired. But her English was fine. It was always fine. The next weekend, she said she had to work extra shifts, but when I stopped by the hotel, she wasn't there. Chenika not scheduled today, the desk clerk said. I found her that evening at a bar across town, with a Thai man about my age. They were sitting close, her hand on his arm, laughing at something he'd said. When she saw me, her face went white. Harold, what you doing here? Looking for you, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Who's your friend? The man stood up, extended his hand. I am Somchai, Chenika's cousin. He spoke English with no accent. Perfect English. Cousin, I repeated. Chenika nodded quickly. Yes, my cousin from Bangkok. He in town for business. They had the same eyes, the same smile. It could be true. I wanted it to be true. So I forced myself to believe it. I going to lose everything, she sobbed into my chest. We were in my apartment, rain hammering against the windows. Landlord say I pay 6-month rent now or he throw me out tomorrow. My heart broke watching her cry. This beautiful, vibrant girl reduced to tears over money. How much? I asked, already reaching for my wallet. 30,000 baht, but I no can ask you for so much. I already asked too much. $600. I'd spent more than that on a single dinner back in the States. It's nothing, I said, pulling up my banking app. Consider it done. She looked up at me with those huge, wet eyes. Really? You would do that for me? I'd do anything for you. The transfer went through in seconds. She watched the confirmation appear on her phone, then threw her arms around my neck. I love you so much, Harold. So much. You saved my life. That night, she was the girl I'd fallen for again. Playful, affectionate, present. She cooked for me. Fed me with her fingers, curled up in my lap afterward like a contented cat. I have surprise for you, she said, producing a business card from her purse. Visa consultant. He helped me get papers for America, but it cost money. I studied the card, professional looking. Legitimate. How much? 50,000 baht. But I save little bit every month. Maybe in 1 year, I have enough. $1,000 to bring her to America, to start our life together. You don't have to wait a year, I said. Her eyes widened. Harold, no, is too much. You already help so much. Let me do this, I said, already typing in the transfer details. Let me bring you home with me, she cried again. Happy tears this time. Forever, she whispered against my lips as she kissed me. I promise you forever. The money was gone in minutes. But the way she looked at me, the way she held me that night, made it feel like the best investment I'd ever made. For 3 weeks, she was perfect. Attentive, loving, constantly talking about our future together. She showed me pictures on her phone of places in Kansas she wanted to visit, asked about my old house, my favorite restaurants, what the seasons were like. In winter, I keep you warm, she said with a mischievous smile. In summer, you keep me cool. I started making plans, called a real estate agent about buying a small house, something with a garden where she could grow the herbs she loved. Started researching English classes, job opportunities, ways to help her build a life in America. For the first time in years, I had something to live for, someone to live for. I knew something was wrong the moment I walked into the hotel lobby. Chenika's usual chair behind the front desk was empty. A different girl sat there, maybe 25, with a professional smile that didn't reach her eyes. Excuse me, I said. Where's Chenika? The girl looked uncomfortable. Chenika, not work here anymore. The words hit me like a physical blow. What do you mean? She was here yesterday. She quit. Yesterday evening. Very sudden. She shuffled some papers nervously. Manager not happy. I felt the room spin. Did she leave a message? For me? Harold? The girl shook her head. Sorry, no message. I fumbled for my phone, called her number. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Still nothing. Back in my apartment, I stared at my phone for hours, willing it to ring. I sent text after text. Chenika, what happened? Where are you? Please call me. Are you okay? I'm worried sick. Whatever's wrong, we can fix it together. Nothing. Not even the blue check marks showing she'd read them. That first night, I didn't sleep. I sat by my window, watching the street, half expecting to see her walking up the path. She'd have some explanation, some emergency, something that would make sense of this sudden silence. The second day, I drove to her apartment. The noodle shop owner downstairs shook his head sadly. She move out yesterday morning. Take everything. Say she not coming back. Did she say where she was going? No, just say goodbye and leave. I climbed the stairs anyway, knocked on what had been her door. A stranger answered, already moving his belongings into the space where we'd made love, where she'd whispered promises of forever. By the third day, I was camping out in the hotel lobby like a ghost. The new desk clerk watched me with pity. Other guests walked around me like I was invisible. I ordered coffee after coffee, checked my phone every 30 seconds, jumped at every sound from the street. Sir, the manager finally approached me around noon. I understand you are friend of Chenika, but you cannot stay here all day. Other guests are uncomfortable. She'll come back, I said, my voice hoarse from not sleeping. She just needs time to sort whatever this is out. She'll come back. He looked at me with a kind of gentle sadness you'd give a man standing over a grave. Sir, I think. Maybe she not coming back. 3 weeks later, I was walking past a small cafe in the old city when I saw her. Just a glimpse through the window, but I'd have recognized that laugh anywhere. My heart stopped, then started beating so hard I thought it might explode. She was there. She was alive. She was. With someone. A Thai man, maybe 40, wearing an expensive watch and a silk shirt. They were sitting close, her hand covering his on the table, both of them laughing at something on his phone. She looked exactly the same. Beautiful, animated, glowing. Like our 3 months together had never happened. I stood on the sidewalk, people flowing around me, like I was a stone in a river. I should go in. I should demand answers. I should make her explain why she'd vanished without a word, why she'd taken my money and my heart and disappeared into thin air. Instead, I just watched. She leaned across the table and whispered something in the man's ear. He smiled, touched her cheek with the back of his hand, the same gesture she'd loved when I did it, the same soft expression she'd given me under the Bodhi tree. Forever, okay? She'd said that night. Forever had lasted 3 months. I turned and walked away. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely get my apartment key in the lock. Inside, I poured myself 3 fingers of whiskey and sat on my couch, staring at the wall where she'd hung a small Thai painting she'd given me as a gift. "For your new home," she'd said. "So you remember me always." I remembered everything. Every smile, every kiss, every whispered promise, every lie. That night, I cried for the first time since my mother's funeral 30 years ago. Not angry tears, not bitter tears. Just the deep, hollow grief of a man who'd finally understood he'd been living in a dream. The worst part wasn't the money. It wasn't even the deception. It was the realization that every moment of happiness she'd given me had been calculated. Every laugh, every touch, every breathless "I love you" had been an investment in her future, not ours. The girl I'd fallen in love with had never existed at all. I spent the next week reading through our text messages like a detective investigating a crime. The evidence was all there, hidden in plain sight. The weekend she disappeared. The stories that didn't add up. The way she'd always steered conversations toward money, toward America, toward what I could do for her. How had I missed it? How had a man who'd spent 30 years reading people, understanding their motivations, their pain, their truth, been so completely blind? "Because you wanted to be," I said out loud to my empty apartment. Because I'd been so hungry for love, for purpose, for someone to need me, that I'd ignored every red flag she'd waved in my face. I opened my laptop and typed out a message. Deleted it. Typed another. Deleted that too. Finally, I wrote just 8 words. "I hope you got what you needed from me." I stared at those words for an hour before hitting send. The message was delivered instantly, read immediately, but no reply came. Not that day, not the next, not ever. A week later, I saw that she'd viewed my WhatsApp profile, checking to see if I was still there, still thinking about her, still broken by what she'd done. I didn't block her number. I thought about it, but something stopped me. Maybe I needed to leave that door open. Needed to believe that someday she might walk through it with an explanation that would make sense of the wreckage she'd left behind. Or maybe I just needed to punish myself a little longer. I deleted our photos from my phone one by one. Her smile at the temple, her hand in mine at dinner. The selfie we'd taken in bed, her head on my chest, both of us looking stupidly happy. Each deletion felt like a small death. But I kept going until there was nothing left but the ghost of what I'd thought we had. The ghost of forever. 2 months after seeing her with the other man, I found myself back at the temple where she'd first kissed my cheek. I brought a single white rose, the kind she used to put in her hair. I left it at the base of the Bodhi tree and said nothing. No prayers, no curses, no desperate pleas to whatever gods might be listening. Just silence. On my way out, I stopped at a small bar across from the temple, the kind of place where expats went to drink away their disappointments. An older German man sat alone at the end of the bar, nursing a beer and staring into the distance with eyes I recognized. Eyes that had seen too much, trusted too much, lost too much. "Buy you a drink?" I asked. He looked at me, studied my face for a moment, then nodded. Why not? We sat in comfortable silence for 20 minutes, watching the street, watching the temple, watching the sun set over a city full of broken dreams and second chances. "We all got our stories," he said eventually. I thought about telling him mine, about Chenika, about the money, about the way she'd said forever like she meant it, about how easy it was to believe in love when you'd been without it for so long. Instead, I just smiled. Yeah, I said, we do. Some stories didn't need to be told. Some wounds healed better in silence. I finished my beer, left money on the bar, and walked out into the warm Thai evening. For the first time in months, I felt something other than heartbreak. I felt empty, but it was a clean emptiness. The kind that comes after a fever breaks, after the poison works its way out of your system. I was ready to go home. Back in Kansas, I didn't tell anyone what had happened. My neighbors asked about my trip, my time abroad. Educational? I'd say. Really opened my eyes. They'd nod and change the subject, probably thinking I was just another old fool who'd gone looking for adventure and found disappointment instead. They weren't wrong. I went back to my old routines. Morning coffee on the porch, afternoon walks through town, evening news and early bedtimes. But something was different. I was different. The loneliness that had driven me to Thailand in the first place was still there, but it felt manageable now. I'd survived the worst kind of betrayal and come out the other side. Maybe that was worth something. 6 months later, on a night when the Kansas wind was howling like a wounded animal, I set up my old video camera and hit record. I don't know why. Maybe I needed to finally say the words out loud. Maybe I needed to stop carrying the weight of that story alone. Her name was Chenika, I said to the camera. She was 19 years old and she told me forever like she meant it. And for 3 months, I lived in a world where forever was possible. Where love could happen to anyone, even a broken down old medic with nothing to offer but his heart and his wallet. I paused, looked directly into the lens. She took both. And maybe that's okay. Maybe I needed to learn that giving everything to someone doesn't guarantee they'll give anything back. Maybe I needed to understand that some people see love as a transaction and forever as just another word to get what they want. The wind rattled my windows. Somewhere in Thailand, Chenika was probably with another man, whispering the same promises, making the same plans, breaking the same hearts. And maybe that was her forever. Maybe that was the only kind she'd ever known. I don't hate her, I said finally. I probably should, but I don't. She taught me something I thought I'd never learn at 68 years old. She taught me I could still feel, still hope, still believe in something bigger than my own loneliness. Even if it was all fake, even if forever was just a word she used to unlock my heart and my bank account. I turned off the camera and sat in the dark, listening to the wind. Tomorrow, I'd wake up in my own bed, in my own house, in my own life. Chenika would wake up somewhere else, with someone else, building new forvers that would last as long as the money held out. And maybe that was enough. Maybe knowing the difference between real love and beautiful lies was its own kind of wisdom. Maybe getting my heart broken at 68 meant it was still working after all these years. Maybe forever was just a word, but for 3 months in Thailand, it was the most beautiful word I'd ever heard.